Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, of course, continuing on with the Jurassic Park marathon, and with me, of course, is the Amazing Gamer.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the marathon.
Yes, again, leading up to when Jurassic World Dominion comes out. So, as you recall, last week, of course, we began the Jurassic Park marathon with, of course, the first Jurassic Park film. Now, of course, we come to the sequels, and in the, continuing the Jurassic Park trilogy. So now, of course, we've come to The Lost World Jurassic Park, from 1997, and it was about a while until there'd be a sequel to Jurassic Park. I mean, because it was in 1993, and then a few years later, in 1997, the sequel did finally happen. But then, of course, a couple of years later, we'd have to wait again for Jurassic Park 3 in 2001. So, for this, of course, we are reviewing The Lost World. We'll start with you, Amazing Gamer. What are the first things you have to say on The Lost World?
Well, definitely after watching the first Jurassic Park as a kid, I was completely blown away that, they were already, because obviously all the movies came out in, the late 90s and stuff like that. So when I saw it's oh, Charlie, there's a Jurassic Park 2 and 3 if you want to watch those, and being a little kid, I was like, yes, let's watch the other ones. And as a kid, I remember having some really good memories with this movie, the mommy's very angry with the two T-Rexes scene, and the chase later on in the climax through the swimming pool area with the T-Rex. And I just remember having a blast with this movie. It was a lot of fun for a sequel for me.
Oh, yeah. And this time, because Jeff Goldblum, who plays Ian Malcolm, he's the main character this time.
Yeah, and I think that was a nice change of pace, because, it still continues, it's not resetting the story. And we do briefly see John Hammond. He doesn't have a big role in this movie,
yeah.
But it is explained that there are... I think he did mention there were other dinosaurs on a different island. It's wait, did they mention that in the first movie, or something like that? I don't know. Or maybe someone found the canister that Dennis tried to make off with and found that and made their own dinosaurs or something.
Yeah, exactly. And, because we do get a little bit of appearance of John Hammond, as you said, and not to mention, we do get one small cameo from Lexi and Tim. They make one small cameo in this.
Yes, they do. I think they're living in the mansion with John, which is nice.
Yeah, and even, because John does send Ian out to that island, and not to mention, because... Dr. Sarah, played by Julianne Moore, because she was there already, and also Nick Van, played by Vince, however you pronounce his last name, because he's with Dr. Ian Malcolm as well to the island. What do we have?
Vince Vaughn. I remember him from movies like Dodgeball and stuff like that.
Vince Vaughn. Yeah. I know that he was in Dodgeball. I have not seen that yet, apparently, but Vince Vaughn and Julianne Moore, and also Ian Malcolm's daughter, Kelly, who's played by Vanessa Lee Chester. What do we have to say about Kelly, Sarah, and Nick?
I did like Kelly in this movie, but one thing I found a little weird, and this was actually mentioned in the first movie, it's easy to miss, but there's one moment where Alan asks Ian if he has any kids, and he says, oh yeah, I have 3 kids. It's wait, where's the other 2 then? We have Kelly, but what about the others?
I don't know. I mean, wasn't it Ian had been married a few times?
Yeah, he'd been married a few times. Yeah, I think he did mention that too.
So my guess is probably, because he has 3 kids, they may have come from some of those marriages.
Yeah.
I think
divorces and all stuff like that.
What's that now?
Divorces and stuff like that may have caused him to not be able to see him. So
exactly. Yeah, well, because he'd been busy and he's a doctor, so makes perfect sense. And I think I got a good point there, because again, probably him having 3 kids, they came from some of those marriages, and we see one of his kids, of course, that being Kelly. And she even kind of sneaks along, tagging along with her father, and of course, they meet up with Sarah, and Julianne Moore was pretty good in this, and so was Vince. They were both good in this, and there's even a moment with the Stegosauruses, and of course, an like with any other Jurassic Park film, at least with a few, with this one specifically, a bunch of helicopters come in, like basically like those like coming in and taking like getting some of the dinosaurs, and one of those guys is of course Arliss Howard, who plays Peter Ludlow, I think that's how you say that name, and Roland Tembo, played by Pete Postal, however you pronounce his last name. But like, do we have anything to say on those guys?
Yes, because they are all part of the company of InGen, which from this movie onwards is actually a really important plot point for both Jurassic Park, the Jurassic Park section of the franchise, and the Jurassic World. Oh. InGen they are the lifeblood of Jurassic Park and World after this movie. Oh. And they were only just the people who flew the helicopters in the first film, so I think it's clever to expand their company.
Mm-hmm. And good point. And they're like capturing some of the dinosaurs. Not to mention, they do go after like a baby T-Rex, and of course later on that would lead to, say, the two like T-Rex parents, and etc. And even Richard Skiff was in this too. I almost forgot. And I think he's that guy who does get eaten by the two T-Rexes in that vehicle, if I'm correct.
I think his name was Eddie Glenn, wasn't it? Oh, not Eddie Glenn. I think it was just Eddie.
Well, it was Eddie Carr. I think that's...
Oh, Eddie Carr. No, Eddie Glenn is from the director's cut, Thomas and the Magic Railroad. What am I thinking?
Yeah. Thinking about Thomas and you got that stuck in your head. Oh, well. But, and so that's another thing, too. That sequence where the mama and papa T-Rex come in, and they're just not quite pleased of what's been what's happening to their child. Like, what do we have to say about that sequence?
It's a really well done sequence because none of it is CGI. And this is when, like, once again, like the first movie, Spielberg's directory really shines here, because, I mean, also how angry you can tell the T-Rexes are, because in real life, human parents wouldn't take kindly to their child being taken away by strangers. So how do you think two carnivore T-Rexes that are built to eat meat are coming to act upon this situation?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's even like after like they let the baby T-Rex go, like I think the T-Rexes, they still like cause the long vehicle to like fall off a cliff basically.
Yeah, and rightfully so. It's like, yeah, we got our baby back, but we're not letting them get off scot-free, so
exactly.
Let's see how they like having something important to them being trashed.
Exactly. And what was the company's name again that we first see in this film?
InGen.
Yeah, well, like from Dr. Malcolm and the others, they do join them eventually. I guess things seem to be getting along a little bit, and that's when like a little bit later they're all being attacked, like say, like from they're in this like grass field and the Velociraptors come in. Remember that part?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, with the long grass.
Yeah.
And then Ian notices one of the guards being taken away and just stops and says, "Run as fast as you can."
Yeah, and not to mention, a little bit earlier in the film, like there was this one guy who was really a jerk, and he was like coming face to face with these like little tiny like green dinosaurs, and they go after him and they're biting him, up to when we see that a trail of blood in like a stream, is like the stream is like carrying like the blood and such. You know that scene too?
Yeah, the misty red fog of the blood. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The misty, blood and so on. That is correct. That is true. Okay, and to also speed things up a little bit, like that one sequence where they do come face to face with the Velociraptors in this deserted building, and Kelly gets a bit of her own action where her gymnastics and so on, like she flips and like kicks one of the Velociraptors out the window, and we see that the Velociraptor gets impaled. That scene.
Indeed, yeah. The fact that we actually got to see that was really cool. Just seeing it like twitch its leg and everything in pain. It's like, oh wow, I didn't think we'd get to see that, but it looks great.
Yeah. Not to mention, I was talking about this with the Amazing Gamer, during when we were still on call, even after we were done filming with one of our reviews, about Jurassic, about the Lost World, where there was a deleted scene where it was storyboarded, and I think it had kind of had its own toy line. Yeah, it did. There was gonna be this sequence where the not velociraptors, pterodactyls are attacking a helicopter and our heroes who are leaving the island, I guess. And one of the pterodactyls breaks the front window of the helicopter and impales the main helicopter pilot. And that would have been an interesting sequence to see, but unfortunately it got cut out. And not to mention that it was one of those things where it got its toy line, even though it was not in the movie.
Yeah, that's very strange. It's quite rare for a movie company to do, to have toys for something that didn't happen in the film, and then people would often question it, wait, well, why didn't this happen? And then we find out, oh, it was a deleted scene, but
yeah,
why did they make merchandise as something that didn't happen? That's a little strange.
Yeah, I think, I can think of one, but I feel like that has happened a few times when it came to movies where, they were almost going to have this, and it was already having its toys being made, but it didn't come to be. One that I can think of is Star Trek Generations, where they were going to have, new Starfleet uniforms, but that didn't come to be, and yet there was already, a toy line of those. So that I can think of, and I swear, I feel like I could think of something else, but all I can think of is Generations, and, of course, The Lost World. But anyways, to speed things up, to keep moving forward, even at one point, Roland Tempo has had enough, and he tells Peter that he's on his own, and up to when they get back to, is it San Francisco that they're at?
San Diego.
Well, San Diego, okay. At San Diego, that's when all hell breaks loose. Basically, it's true. Where one of the T-Rexes attacks the city and is basically looking for the child.
Yes, and it ends up wandering the streets of just a big, expensive-looking estate, and wanders into a back garden and drinks water out of a swimming pool.
And he eats the dog.
Yeah, that was quite a shock to see. Oh, the dog's barking at him, and then T-Rex roars. It's oh, I hope the dog's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the kid that sees the T-Rex out his window and wakes his parents up, they walk into his room saying, just turn the light of the fish thing off, and then they look out the window, and you don't even see the dog in the T-Rex's mouth, you just see the chain attached to the dog shed on his jaw. And then that's just, that's dark.
It is. It is dark, yeah. Unlike, say, what happened in the first Jurassic Park film with the goat, we do see bits of the goat. I know, yeah, it's true. But in The Lost World, we don't see the dog at all. But again, the chain and the doghouse, yeah. And that's okay. Another thing is, I don't know if you would know this too, but even I forget about this sometimes. Which T-Rex is this? Is this the mother or the father T-Rex that's in San Diego?
I like to think it's probably the mother. I don't know what happened to the father. I don't know if that was explained by the end of the movie. And what's weird is that, before the boat arrives in San Diego, the T-Rex had apparently got out while they were en route, and then it had eaten everyone on the crew, and then somehow got locked back in the cage, except there's only one T-Rex, so what happened to the other? Did it fall overboard, or did it already leave the boat? We don't know.
Yeah, and that leaves a lot of questions as to how did he manage to, okay, outside of the boat is understandable, but how did he get to the crew that were on the main bridge, by the wheel? That's the thing.
Yeah, especially, we could see, and there is a cabin, a room that is, enclosed in an actual part of the building of the boat. And the only thing left on the seat, or, the wheel of the boat is the arm.
Yeah.
And how did it not destroy the ceiling of the room when eating that guy? How did it get to him without destroying the ceiling?
Yeah, how was that possible? Well, we don't know. I mean, unless they gave an explanation like Spielberg and the others, we don't know, so... But anyways, also some stuff going on, because even when, I think, Sarah asks Ian how do they track down the T-Rex, follow the screams, and thus...
Follow the screams, yeah.
And the city, the people in the city are screaming, of course, and a few things that happen. For example, like I did point this out to Amazing Gamer when we were still on call, just like with the deleted scene. Like there was these group of Japanese guys that were running away from the T-Rex, and I did read about this. That was a nod to Godzilla, basically. Instead of Godzilla, you have the T-Rex are chasing them.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a Godzilla reference. Even when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that's kind of like Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly. And also, one of the writers of the Jurassic Park films, David Cope, he makes a cameo in this, and he gets eaten by the T-Rex. And if you remember that,
Yeah, the guy that tries to get into that one store but then gets eaten by the T-Rex.
yeah, what a way for that's kind of funny. One of the writers who had written the Jurassic Park films, he gets eaten by the T-Rex.
Yeah, and he actually has a pretty funny name in the credits as well. Like, the name of the character has a really funny name, and I won't say it here because, it's inappropriate for a general audience, but if you go into the credits, folks, and take a look at who his, the person that plays him plays, and look at his name, it's funny. It's really funny. You'll get a laugh out of it.
Is it what I think it is? Because it starts off because it's like unlucky B word. So
yeah, that's it.
I think I know what that word is. Yeah. Okay. So wait, that is an interesting name to give to his character.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I could tell they came up with that on the spot. It's like, oh, what do we call this guy? Do we give him a name? No, just make it something funny.
I'm sure David found that pretty funny too. Also, there's another funny scene too where when they reach up to when Ian and Sarah reach up to drive up to a gas station. Well, it was the T-Rex that did this knocked off this giant ball, whatever it was, and it rolled past them.
Yeah, with a huge 76 number on it.
76, that's right. Yeah. And of course, they do they get the baby T-Rex and they lead the mama T-Rex, if it is the mama T-Rex, probably so, make their way back to the boat, and even say Peter Ludlow is on their tail, and also Peter meets his demise by getting eaten by the baby T-Rex.
Yeah, what's brilliant is that he hears it inside of the shed that it's being kept in, or the crate or whatever. He goes down to see it, and then he's like, there you are. And somehow he doesn't hear the footsteps of Mama T-Rex behind him. And he turns around and sees it, and he's like, and me and Little Blue were talking about this just after our Jurassic Park review. He thinks that for some reason, saying the words, wait, as he tries to escape, is going to get through to a T-Rex's head. Yeah, sure, this carnivore will let you go scot-free, but it's not like you're a bad guy or anything.
Yeah, and basically, Peter was the baby T-Rex's dinner, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that as well, that it was the baby T-Rex that finished him off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, the baby T-Rex totally deserved to do something like that, and that scream that Peter gives, and even say, the mama T-Rex was tranquilized and is being sent back to the island, and the epilogue, we of course get news footage and an early interview of John Hammond. What do we have to say about that sequence?
I think it was a pretty nice sequence, because he did recall on what Ian Malcolm had said in the first movie. If we could just step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way.
Yeah, so that was nice that, Hammond took that from Ian, because Ian was right.
Yeah.
And it had and more on the epilogue, because we see what's going on the island, all the dinosaurs that are living peacefully. We see the mama and papa T-Rex and their baby, of course, together, and all the other dinosaurs roaming around. And it's a really cool shot, the very last shot where one of the pterodactyls lands on a branch and gives out a roar, and the movie fades and the credits roll. That was a cool way to end it.
It was a nice way to end it. It plays a classic Jurassic Park theme as well.
Yes, of course it does. So, The Lost World, it was a pretty good sequel, and for it being the second one. And, another thing is, because, I remember, even me and Amazing Gamer, we were talking about this, that, and I brought this up too, that after like making the first Jurassic Park film, it was a lot of fun for Spielberg, Stan Winston, and the crew. And, of course, they were all open and up for making a sequel, and thus they did. And yeah. So, anyways, but what are any last things we have to say on The Lost World?
I honestly think that this movie, it gets a little too much hate for the wrong reasons as well. It gets a bad rep, and I don't see why. It's like, some people complain that, like, they trust too much on the thriller of the T-Rex, and it's like, well, they're just doing their thing. It's just carnivores being like they are. Some people complain about the new actors and actresses, but it's like, it's just keeping it fresh. They couldn't just keep reusing the same people from the first movie, other than Jeff Goldblum, which is another thing people complain about. People didn't like him in the first movie. I personally love Jeff Goldblum in everything he's in. Love you, man. If you're watching by any chance, you're awesome.
Yeah, but, if he is watching this, yeah, you rock, man.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't wait to see your performance in Dominion. It's going to be great.
Absolutely.
But I definitely think I'd rate this movie a 7 out of 10. It's not as outstanding as the first movie, but that's usually the case with any big movie franchise, but still pretty good as a sequel, in my opinion.
Yeah, and and how I rate this, I think it's same for me, like 7 out of 10. Because we both think that The Lost World is pretty good, and I was gonna say this, like, the movie is mixed, right? Like, some people like it, and some people like don't really like it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's really what you're looking for in a Jurassic Park movie.
True. So both me and Amazing Gamer, we give this a 7 out of 10 stars. And yep. So that's about it for our review of The Lost World. And until with the Jurassic Park marathon still continuing, we basically only have 3 more movies left. And, of course, the last Jurassic Park film in the trilogy, Jurassic Park 3. Stay tuned for our review. Any last words?
I've really enjoyed taking a look at the past few Jurassic Park movies, and it's going to be a lot of fun to wrap it up with the next big final film. And also, this isn't the last we'll be seeing of the cast from the original movie. We still have one more film with Mr. Grant to see in the third, but we'll get to that next time.
Yes, we will. In fact, yeah, I mean, as you're watching this, viewers, like, our review of Jurassic Park 3 will be coming later tonight, so have that to look forward to. Thank you, Amazing Gamer, and for once again joining and continuing on continuing on the marathon.
Of course, it's
yes.
a very roaring experience so far.
Yeah, good one. So, until our review of Jurassic Park 3 later tonight, stay tuned for that. We'll see you guys in the next video / review, and thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed our review of The Lost World. And until Jurassic Park 3 later tonight, take care, and peace out.